My brothers, so many of us are trapped. We are prisoners of the actions and opinions of others. If we believe that someone has treated us badly, it can ruin our entire day. We will obsess over what someone said to or did to us, letting their actions consume our thoughts and distract us from living our lives. If our boss at our office job treats us poorly, constantly nitpicking our work to criticize it, we will let it drag us down. We may become fearful of dealing with him. We may dread going to work and spend much of our Sunday night tossing and turning, knowing what the end of the weekend will bring. What's worse, when our boss tries to micromanage us, we become defensive, insisting that we are not to blame for the error, or that it is unfair that our issues are being pointed out. We may get angry with him. We might argue with him in person, but most of the time, we will just come home and complain endlessly to our wives or girlfriends about him. We can waste hours, days, months of our lives doing this. If a guy cuts us off in traffic, we get angry. We may honk our horn, flip him the bird, engage in the usual road rage that is so typical of us as prideful men. And why shouldn't we? We were in the right, after all. If our wife is nagging us about fixing that grip under the kitchen sink yet again, we get defensive. We shout at her that we have been busy with work, with the kids. How dare she bring that up with all the stress we are under? But here's the thing. When we react to the negative actions of others, we are letting them pull us into their frame of reality. We are validating to our boss that we are impacted by his criticisms. We are letting that driver ruin our day who probably forgot about us shortly after we honked the horn. We are creating a fight with our wives out of a situation that we could have let pass. Most of the time, my brothers, we are acting on the sin of pride. This sin is so common with men, including me. But when we allow pride to control us, we are letting it drag us down, making us into men who are manipulated like puppets by the actions of others, rather than steering the ship of our own destiny. So how do you avoid this major mistake? The key, my brothers, is to master the art of being non-reactive. When someone does something that would normally upset you, pause. You do not have to react to it. You do not have to respond to it. Instead, pause and decide that you are not going to interpret it in a negative manner. When that guy cuts you off in traffic, let it pass. He may not have done it intentionally, and even if he did, you cannot control the actions of others. It is you, not them, who decides how a situation will impact you. Take a deep breath and realize that you will forget about the situation just as quickly as they did if you let it pass. I'm not saying to be a pushover. As a man, there are definitely times when you have to stand up for yourself and others. But doing so to a guy who cut you off in traffic, a guy you will never see again, is only to defend your own pride, not to enforce boundaries so that you will not get walked over. I remember when I discovered the power of non-reactivity at my job. It was if I had discovered magic. I had a passive-aggressive boss who seemed to love to pick apart everything I did. If you've seen the movie Office Space, That should give you a good picture. For example, he would take joy in telling me that I filled out the fax cover sheets wrong. It would insinuate that my doing so was a grave sin. I would get angry, defensive, point out the insignificance of his complaints. Until one day I didn't. Instead, I listened to his criticisms, repeated them to him like I was taking an order at a restaurant, and asked him if he had any more. When he didn't, I simply said, "Okay, sounds good. Thanks for letting me know." He didn't know what to do. I began to do this in all my encounters with him, and his criticisms quickly stopped. You see, my brothers, I wasn't giving him the reaction he was seeking. The point of this story is that when you don't give people the negative reactions they are seeking to get from you, you take control back into your own hands. If your wife is nagging you to do something, calmly tell her that you will get to it when you have a chance. If she tries to start an argument with you, do not react. Calmly but firmly tell her that you will take care of it, but do not react any further. Her negative emotions will pass quickly, and it will be so much better than starting a huge fight where you will say things that you will regret. I'm not saying to beg for forgiveness from her. You haven't sinned against her for not fixing the sink. Simply tell her that you understand what she is saying and do not take the situation any further. Being non-reactive is hard to master at first. It goes against our fleshly instincts as men to give into the sin of pride. But like with all sins, there are consequences to our actions. Instead of controlling our own destiny as men, with God's direction, we are wasting hours of time we will never get back and letting others control us. I promise you that if you practice daily, becoming non-reactive will go from something that you consciously have to try to do to something that will become natural to your character. And your life will be so much better because of it. So stay strong, my brothers. Remain non-reactive, and don't let anyone take away your legacy.